You guys played that song for anybody else's intro? Just Richard and I.
Let's get a whole lot of Gil. Gil!
I got my schedule the other day and I was like, what? Am I seeing this right?
Yeah.
I've got a panel with Richard?
And Gil and I have never done a panel together.
I don't think we have.
This is one for the books, kids. Go home and chip this one to the tablet. You know what I mean?
Don't get their hopes up.
No, this is a one-off, dude. I mean, you never know. Maybe this will catch on like wildfire.
Yeah.
The Gil and Rich are taking everybody by storm. By the way, I noticed you stole Adam's sweater.
So, everyone keeps accusing me.
Well, that's only because you stole Adam's sweater.
No, this is my sweater.
That looks like Adam's.
I guess. I didn't know that Adam Rose was the cardigan guy. I did not know that. I have not seen Adam Rose in, he thinks it's 8 years. I think it's more like 2 or 3, but I didn't know he was the cardigan guy. I knew he wore cardigans, I didn't know that was his thing.
So you thought you stole somebody else's sweater?
All I know is I walked in the green room yesterday morning and everybody was like, oh shit, Adam's gonna be pissed. And everybody keeps laughing, like even backstage. Liz was like, you stole Adam's sweater.
Yeah, but in fairness to her, she only said that because you stole Adam's sweater. I mean, it's a good-looking sweater if it suits you.
Yeah, it's all right. It's comfy.
His is, I think, insured by Sotheby's, and
for sure. Yeah, he knows a lot more about cardigans than I do.
He does.
He started explaining the different collars and stitching.
Well, then Matt Cohen got confused yesterday because he was wearing her sweater, and he's like, "Is this a cardigan or a sweater?" Which is the dumbest question.
Yeah.
Is this a seat or a chair?
That's such a Cohen question.
Yeah. And they're like, "I know you're handsome. God bless you." Painfully good looking. And that's all you need. You know, you don't need to know the difference between a sweater and a cardigan.
Is this a seat or a chair?
That's what the question was.
What is it?
Like, buddy, I don't know. You stumped the man with that one. We are so excited to take your questions because we cannot imagine what in God's name we're going to ask Gil and Rich together. And so let's start it, shall we? Go ahead, right over there.
Hi, I'm Grant.
Hello, Grant. Hi.
I was wondering, if you guys were a soup, what type of soup would you be?
Split pea. Gil?
Oh, wait. I thought you meant like us together as one suit.
You can do us one together.
Well, I think if I was my own soup, I'd be split pea.
And you answered that.
But if we were a soup together, it'd be corn chowder.
Obviously.
I think these are pretty clear-cut answers to.
I would be I don't know why I'm saying this, just because I love it, French onion. I'd be a French onion.
No, I get that, because you kind of like, you sometimes get a little toasty and say cheesy things. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
Toasty, thank you. A little bubbly.
Thank you. And I call him Gilbert, which is French.
That's right.
You know?
This goes with the whole thing.
He goes with the whole thing.
I'm so French.
I like the fact that I just drew a really spot-on analogy to you in French Onion City. I'm impressed with you. That wasn't a great question, but it was a question, and we appreciate it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I love that question.
It led us to this answer, right?
And do you really love split peas?
Oh yeah, I love split pea soup.
Okay.
I'm a God-fearing American. Split pea soup. And I like corn chowder.
Corn chowder is delicious.
Yeah, man.
It's got cream in it though, right?
Oh, who my Chef Boyardee? I don't know, man. It's one more corn, two more chowder. I don't know.
It's got cream in it, right? Like heavy cream.
Probably.
Yeah.
What are you, my cardiologist? Like,
Yes, I'm just saying. We had a talk about
I don't do a lot of cream.
and the whole lactose thing.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. So that's the soup I would be, but I would, it probably wouldn't sit well. I don't have to consume it. I am it in this scenario. I am the soup. You know what I mean?
Just nods like,
Yeah, sure. How do I back up this question? Split pea is a non-cream-heavy soup, but it's got ham in it. So, like for example, Stephen Norton probably doesn't like split pea soup.
he's not a ham guy.
He's not a ham. Stephen is a vegetarian. Who also doesn't like vegetables. He's a real anomaly. It's a narrow lane for Stephen Norton. Like, hey Steve, what do you have for lunch? No. Well, why? Well, a lot of meat, Rich. Okay, but they had a vegetable medley. They didn't like the medley. I don't like the carrots with the zucchini combo. Not a fan. Well, they had beans. Not a bean lover. Are you a frijoletarian? Just saying, I don't like beans, I don't like vegetables, especially in medley form. And I don't like meat. All right, well, how about fish? No, not Atlantic salmon. Not fishy. Not this guy. You're a little picky. No. I just like bread. Anything at Panera. Not sure if I got into slamming Steve's eating habits.
Did you say frijolatarian?
Yeah. I was just saying yesterday because he was so high maintenance. He's like the J-Lo of our radio.
He really is.
So I don't like beans. But there's no meat in the beans. Yeah, but there's a lot of beans in there. No bean fan. Well, what do you eat? Well, vegetarian. Well, you don't eat vegetables. I do sometimes. But not today. Not at lunch. Not in the day. Not when the sun's out. Okay. Well, what kind of fish do you like? You know, like salmon. Well, they have salmon out there. No, that's net caught salmon. I like line caught salmon. Well, I think it's line caught. Yeah, but by a left-hander. Never been a left-handed anglers. I can tell the difference of it. You know, pretty sophisticated palate, if I do say so myself. Right, Steve. Well, that's why he's wasting away. That's why you can barely see Steve. He's the Karen Carpenter of drummers. I think there's never Karen Carpenter as a drummer. That gag doesn't work. Do you know her? She was a good drummer. Do you know that?
It turned out to be a great question.
Did you know that Karen Carpenter was a drummer?
I did not.
Yeah, she's a good drummer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you think Steve is turning into Karen Carpenter?
Well, if he stops eating, I mean, I'm worried about Steve's nutrient intake.
Sounds like
You know what I mean?
He seems like he's healthy.
I mean, he says that. But we've never given him a full scan. We don't know what's going on inside of Steve. You know?
Donuts.
Yes. Anyway, I think that's pretty much the answer you were looking for, so you're welcome. Steve, he's going to come out here and the crowd's going to be concerned. They're going to wring their hands. Steve makes his way to the drum set. Hi.
Hi. So my question's for Rich.
Okay.
I was just wondering what was it like directing an episode of The Boy Detectives, which did the one where they went to hell.
I did. That was the third time I've directed something in hell. And I think that's I never saw my career going that direction, but it turns out I'm very comfortable in that space. Supernatural, Lucifer, and Dead Boy Detectives. All were at hell-centric scenes. How many of you saw Dead Boy Detectives? Okay. So I'm going to tell you two things. Number one, it's already been canceled. Boom. But number two, it's still on Netflix. And I say, go watch it, if for no other reason, because you're a Supernatural fan, Ruth Connell. She's one of the stars of the show, and she's brilliant. So, do yourself a favor and watch Dead Boy Detectives. It's a great show. I'm proud of the show. I thought it was great. It was created by Steve Yockey, who's a writer from Supernatural. And Ruth's great in it, and I got to direct episode 7 of 8, the second to last one. And it was great, man. It was such a fun show. I got given an amazing script that Steve Yockey wrote. The two lead actors were just stellar young men who it was their first TV job, both of them were both British guys who had theater experience, but not a lot of TV experience. And we're just so prepared and so focused and delightful to work with. And I just thought the style of the show was cool, the way Steve and the pilot director Lee Toland Krieger sort of crafted the look of the show was phenomenal. I just thought the whole thing had a cool style and vibe, and I loved it. And it was challenging. I mean, my episode was big and had a lot of moving parts. We had 10 days, not 8. Most TV shows have 8. We had 10. But then it got spread out over all this time because at one point the boys got sick, and at another point George got injured his foot, and things just kept happening that kept messing up the schedule. So we'd be there working, and then I'd fly home for a week and a half and come back and work some more, and it just got dragged out. Actually, kind of to the benefit of the show because we were able to sneak in more stuff. You know, we're like, well, we're wrapping for the day, so let's quickly do this shot, and we'll just chip away these boxes, you know, and just get as much footage shot as we can for the episode. I could go on and on. I loved the experience. I was heartsick when it got canceled. I think it was a mistake. Not just because I was in it, but I thought it was a show that had really cool, unique themes, a really cool and unique style, and could have been a show that found a strong audience and just never got a chance to do so. So go to Netflix and watch it before it goes away. You will not be sorry, I promise you. Thank you for your question.
Hi, my question was also about Dead Boy Detective.
All right.
And I thought it was a funny coincidence that that episode had a love confession to a longtime friend, just like Despair, which you also directed.
Yes.
So is that just like on your resume now? And how did those two experiences compare?
I'm good at confessions. So, for those who don't know Dead Boy Detectives, the two lead actors, at one point when they're escaping hell, one of the actors confesses love for the other guy, and the other guy is straight. It was like, I love you too, like a buddy, but we're not going to date or anything. But it's a really well-written scene where it's sort of, I don't want to simplify it too much. It's a guy expressing true emotion towards somebody who started as a friend and became somebody he had emotion for, and how that other character responds to it. And it's just incredibly well written, incredibly sensitively written, and beautifully acted by the two guys. Genuine emotion, genuine response, genuine kinship. In the two guys, and they obviously had such a trust with each other as actors that they were able to deliver an honest, heartfelt performance without it feeling at all forced or stagey. It just seemed completely genuine. And then comparatively, we have the Castiel confession to Dean, which was also heartfelt and genuine and lovely, and happened after 15 years of backstory, or I guess 11 years of backstory. Whenever Castiel here and there. Both were such interesting and lovely scenes to be a part of, because my job was to just get out of the way. My job was to figure out a way to facilitate the actors having the space they needed to do what they needed to do, and let them act. Is what it really was. And for Dead Boy Detectives, it was about going up the stairs and, purposely putting Charles on stairs above Edwin, so that I blocked it in a very specific way for that to be framed that direction, staged that way so it cinematically looks a certain way. And I love the way that shook out, and I think it played into the character execution of that scene really well. And same with Jensen and Misha. I thought framing that, shooting that scene the way I shot it was all about giving Jensen and Misha the opportunity just to act the scene. And a lot went into that scene with Jensen and Misha in terms of staging, because I wanted to be able to, if you go back and watch that scene, 15, 18, the last episode we did before COVID affected how we shoot television. And I was able to get a shot of Misha that was a match shot from season 4, his arrival. So his departure shot is shot at a very similar angle. We sort of had that one shot up there, or try to, match it so his exit matches his entrance. And then allowing those dudes to do what they do well. Connect, speak, look right at each other, do their thing. It's great, I think you can over-direct those things. You can try to be too cute, you can try to be too clever. And sometimes the right answer is back away slowly and let the cameras roll and do what they need to do. And we found something, a little piece of TV trivia for you if you happen to be people who watch Supernatural. I don't know if you are. But we got there, and there's a sigil that Castiel paints a sigil on the wall. And in the madness of getting that episode prepped, the special effects team, or the art department, didn't create the sigil. It was going to be a thing that was just put up on the wall, like a clear plastic thing that comes to the sigil on the wall. And they forgot. And that's my fault. I didn't remind them. Oh, whatever. Here we are on the day, and we're like, oh shoot. What am I sitting? And it was going going to be something that Castiel makes appear. It's going to be like one of those, like an effect thing. And we're like, son of a bitch. Okay, we huddled. Misha, Jensen, and I had a little sidebar. Talked to Bob Behrens on the phone for the script. All right, here's what we're going to do. Misha is going to take a blade from Dean and cut his hand and use blood to paint the sigil. And he starts and you go back and the sigil painted. But then that created an opportunity that and I couldn't begin to tell you whose idea it was. It was Jensen and Misha and Rich standing there going, oh, well, if Misha cuts his hand, then he's got to grab Dean by the shoulder to put the bloody handprint on Dean's shoulder that will be an homage to the original burn on the shoulder from pulling him out of hell. And so it made this really cool visually symbolic moment of Dean sitting by himself after Cass is gone, replicating Cass's exit, matching the original, and Dean sitting there with the bloody handprint on his shoulder, representing the time that it had happened years earlier. One of those happy accidents. We talk about happy accidents on set. That was a happy accident because it added this level of story and history and reference to a scene that it wasn't on the page. But in the moment, we just made it happen, and it was great. And Bob Behrens was thrilled, and we were thrilled, and it was just, I think it added to that moment. It really is not what you asked, but now you know that detail.
Well, we were thrilled, and thank you for the thought you put into it.
Hey, my pleasure. That's my job. Thank you. All right.
If both your characters were in a room with no windows or doors, who would go crazy first?
Split pea soup.
Wow. Not Rich, what do you think?
I think Gil would go crazy because I'd be in there talking his ear off about his stolen sweater and being French onion soup.
Yeah, I don't think Henry would do too
Oh, it's our characters?
I think, was it our characters or us personally?
Which is it? Real Gil or characters? Characters?
Henry wouldn't do too well with
No, I do fine. If I'm our archangel, I just snap myself out of it, so I wouldn't even be there. I'd be like, oh no, we're stuck in a room. Bye. You, however, you're stuck in a room.
I might get out of there somehow, but
Walk me through that. How do you get out of a room with no doors, no windows, right? No doors and windows. You know what happened is, in I Can't Conscious, they put you somewhere, they built the room around you. Right. So there's no way, you couldn't even be put in it. It's like an egg that arrived around.
I have no supplies.
You have no supplies.
to do.
You gotta poop on the floor. You gotta eat your own clothes.
Eat your own sweater.
Yeah, dude, like you're drinking your own urine, you're pooping on the floor. It's grisly. Your nails grow long.
That sounds like a Saturday night for me.
Once again, friends, I can say. So I guess the answer is
me, for sure.
because I wouldn't be there. And man,
And he would not be there to support me.
no, and the weird thing is, if he had and I don't like talking about this is gross and it's infantile, it's childish, but we have to address it. Because if he had the French onion soup, and he doesn't do well with dairy, we know this, then man, that place would look like a Jackson Pollock painting. It would just be everywhere. I mean, no wonder people like, come help me get out. They're like, we would have, but
now,
I don't know.
we're not opening this up.
I mean, it would just be awful. And then it kind of leads to the question, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you have a cream base? And why would Henry go cream base when he knows it doesn't sit well with him?
I don't think he knew that he was going to be trapped in there when he was making the
Still, it just wreaks
chowder.
havoc on his stomach.
Absolutely. If anyone is lactose intolerant, it's Henry Winchester.
Yes, I can't wait to see that t-shirt. Hey, speaking of, I was out in the merchandise room. Speaking of lactose intolerance. I was in the merchandise room, and there's two giant stand-up posters of you.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Isn't that great? But how did they?
One of my friends, she was missing me because I wasn't doing shows, so she made these lovely cardboard cutouts.
I've seen Gil
And she started bringing them to the cons.
Yeah, they're great.
Doing
It's
photo op with
they're
them.
real dapper too.
Yeah, it was really sweet, but also like, maybe stop bringing them for photo ops because I kind of want to come back and like Creation might just be like, oh shit,
This is
wait, he's here.
This is gonna sound weird, but the
Like,
cardboard cutout they have a better deal than you have.
They have a better deal.
They fly first class.
That's true.
They're in the front cabin.
Now, Borja, I caught Borja trying to put one in his carry-on.
Yeah, it's classic Borja.
Yeah, he was trying to fold that up and put it in his carry-on.
Yeah.
He said it was for kids, but we all know that's not true.
No, because the kids are not Henry Winchester fans.
You're not. You're not impressed.
No, they're more Mitch Pileggi kids.
That's so random.
I know.
I love it though.
It's great. I love that you have dapper cutouts of yourself.
Yeah.
Happy-go-lucky Gil cutouts.
Yeah, it's nice.
And they're in the merch room. Like, do they live in the merch room?
I don't know. I haven't been in the merch room.
You gotta go in there.
They were just hanging out in there? Yeah.
You got one. You got like the open road. You know, the Dwight Eisenhower.
Yeah, giddy up.
Yeah, and then one, you're like in the suit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like you're doing a musical.
Yeah, I saw them this morning. She brought them in and I did a photo op. Just me and the two cardboard cutouts.
Gilbert.
Yeah. She's like, just stand there.
Gilbert Toi.
Are you into it, Gilbert Toi? Do you ever heard Gilbert Toi?
All right. Moving on, I suppose. I don't like it this Gilbert Toi. All right.
Hey y'all, I'm Myra.
Hi,
Myra.
Hi. My question is, well, for both of you, I have it for both of you. For Rich, what's kind of the most rewarding and challenging part of doing the podcast as opposed to your acting director, other projects, and then for Gil? If you were to do a podcast, what would it be on?
Well, what would it be called? It'd be called Gilbert Toi.
Yeah.
I think we've already answered that. Gilbert Toi. What's the most rewarding part about doing the podcast?
Or challenging?
Well, it's not challenging, I'll tell you that much. I guess the only challenging part is remembering to watch the episode, because there's many a time where I get a text from Steve Hine, the producer. So Rob Benedict and I do 2 podcasts. We do Rob Benedict, Rich Speight, talking about nonsense, which is Kings of Conversation. And then we do Supernatural, Then and Now, a rewatch podcast of the show Supernatural. We go episode by episode. We have cast and crew on as guests. We review the shows. We summarize the shows. And we're now just starting or a little bit into season 6 of Supernatural. So if you are watching the show, join us for our rewatch. It's free and it's fun.
How long have you been doing that?
Like 2 years or something like that.
You're getting to me. You're almost there.
We're getting our way to get
I've
you.
been waiting for the call. I was just curious.
Well, just track the episode. Like, where's Gilbert adjacent? We're in the Gilbert sphere. Gilbert! We'll get there.
I just want to make sure I'm available.
We're gonna call you on the Gil phone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll be there. You'll clear your schedule. What was the so the challenging part is not really challenging because Rob does all the editing on the Kings of Con one. We don't ever talk about what we're gonna do. That is just us yet. The other one, Steve Hine does, our producer Steve, does a lot of the work on getting that podcast ready. He does the summaries and the mythology questions, or the interview questions, mythology, fun facts. Steve creates all that. And then the interview kind of goes off script once we start talking to somebody, but he gives us some talking points to start with. The challenge is remembering to watch the episode for real, because I will, on more than one occasion, get a text from Steve going, "Hey, we'll see you guys at 9." And I'm like, "Son of a biscuit!" And I have to quickly watch the episode because I had forgotten to do so the night before. So that's the challenging part. So I don't screw up and forget to watch.
Rewarding?
I enjoy talking to the people who made the show. I get nerdy about those interviews if you've listened to them. Like, if we have, it's fun to have an actor on, but I really like having crew members on who don't get interviewed that often. Sound guys, other members of the technical crew, Brad Creaser, who are core parts to the show's success, core elements, critical parts to the journey of the show, but whose name you don't know. Their work you know, you just don't know you know them. And you don't know who did it. And so I love talking to those women and men who helped make the show as successful as it was. That Supernatural had a massively high retention rate. Very few people, for a show that ran as long as it ran, few people left. Which is great if you're a department head, and probably frustrating if you were hoping to one day be a department head because your boss never retired. But that made the show truly like a family.
Yeah.
You would do an episode, 3 years later, you go back, same dudes.
Yeah.
Same guy. Brad Creaser would be a perfect example. Was there, 2 episodes into season 1? And did all 15 years.
Yeah.
So you end up with a friend group that you love returning to, and you end up with people who have stories that span 15 years. So when I'm interviewing them about their journey, well, even if it's not 15 years, they might have been there 5, 6 years. That's still long for TV. So the most rewarding part is learning more about what they did, how they got there, and what their feelings are about the show.
I just want to say those are definitely my favorite episodes too. I love when you guys have like the crew and you get to know a little bit more about how television is made. I recommended the podcast to like non-supernatural fans because I'm like, you learn so much about television making, especially when you guys have those extras on.
And thank you, appreciate that. We really do find our own business fascinating because there are so many people who do it. And so many people who you need to have doing it to make it work. That as industry veterans, we're like, I actually don't know what that guy's doing. You know, like, I know that Bob works here and he's been working here 12 years and I don't know where he goes when he's not here. I don't know where the paint department is. I don't know where they create the fake blood. I don't know, I just know it arrives. Like, there's all these things that are happening all the time. And it's just fascinating to hear their journey, you know, when we can.
What season did you start?
2.
Okay, so you were there.
Yeah.
You were there.
I mean, but you know, in 1 episode in season 2.
Right, but still, I mean, I did, 2 episodes, and I, even like that first one I did, I felt like so welcome.
Right.
Like, and I picked up on like that dynamic of like, it's just such a nice set, and everyone, I mean, when you do a lot of guest stars like I have, Richard knows, he's done a bunch, I'm sure. You're not always treated like a part of the team.
It can be a miserable existence.
It can be miserable. You never know. But the only other thing I had to compare it to was I was on ER, the last 2 seasons of ER, and same thing, 15 seasons. Pretty much the entire crew had been there since the pilot. You know, they watched their babies be born and grown up, and like, but as soon as I joined in season 14, it was like I was part of the family. It was really cool.
Yeah, you know, I will say this about Jared and Jensen. Season 2, when I showed up, they walked over and introduced themselves to me. I'm sure they did that to you.
Yeah.
They said, hey man, Jared, Jensen, thanks for coming. And then, which is rare, but what's rarer is in season 15, when I was directing and a guest star would show up, they would go to that guest star and go, hey, I'm Jared, I'm Jensen, thanks for being here. We're gonna have some fun today. You know how much that helps a guest star who is nervous, has got 1 day or 2 days, they were nervous auditioning, they were excited to get the call, now they're there, they don't know anybody, and they gotta get up to 180 miles an hour in 6 seconds, because they're getting on a moving train. And to have the leads of the show welcome you. Having the director do it, great, it helps a ton. But when you have the leads of the show walk over and immediately make you feel at home, it's a game changer. It also helps you do better work. It makes the show better. Because now you're gonna get 1 level of nervousness out of the way. Because you know, like, oh my God, these are such nice people. And Brad Creaser would always introduce himself. I just did a show that was miserable. It was the opposite. Nobody introduced themselves to me. It was, I couldn't tell you anybody on the crew, and they weren't mean. They just weren't welcoming, and welcoming is what it's all about. Like, you know, but that's so rare. It's so rare that Jared and Jensen would still be those dudes 15 years in. So it's a cool show to work on. And you knew that when you did it, and you knew it when you went somewhere else and it wasn't. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your question. Over here, sir.
What's going on, guys?
Thanks much, buddy. Thank you.
I'm Rob. I have a futurist type of question for you. So I think you guys are around my age. I'm 40, and we know...
Yeah, sure. Ditto.
I just gave you the benefit of the doubt. No, I'm just kidding. So you know you went from like cable, then obviously you went like live TV antennas and cable, then you know DVDs on Netflix, and now we're streaming. Where do you think it goes from here? Do you think streaming's it for a while, or do you think there's going to be something new coming down the pipeline where we'll be able to watch TV, media, things like that?
You know, I hope somehow we can go back to the video store. And I don't know what that would look like, but I've got 2 small kids, and they get everything instantly, you know? And like, when we were kids, it was like, gotta get in the car, drive to town, go to Blockbuster, hope they got the movie, you know, walk around, see what's there, oh, it's all checked out, it's a new release. You didn't get everything like instantly like you do now, but there was something really like fun, and maybe I'm just like nostalgic about it, but because it is pretty cool to just be able to sit down in your recliner and turn something on.
No, I agree with you. And I think people were better viewers then.
Yeah.
And I say that as a guy who has kids older than Gills. And people were better viewers when it was on purpose. When it just arrived to you, it was, okay, well, I have this, it's almost like being a trust fund kid. I don't have to work for this, it's here, I'm just gonna like do it, I don't appreciate it, and I'm gonna turn it off halfway through, and you look at my phone, I'm gonna double screen it, look at my phone while that's happening, checking it out, like, it's insane. Whereas, it used to be much more on purpose. You went to the store, or let's say you didn't even go to the store, let's go to the Netflix mails you 3 DVDs section. You still had to pick the 3 DVDs, they arrived, and you go, hey hon, which one are we gonna watch?
Yeah.
And you would put it in the player and hit start. And there was a more deliberate effort and process to watching something. It wasn't going to the movie theater, but it wasn't streaming. It was somewhere in between. You were viewing at home a movie. You were watching at home. I guess we'd also be binging a series. You're watching Supernatural, whatever, on DVD. It was dramatically different. I say this as a dad, I genuinely fear that we were ruining our children's ability to enjoy long-form entertainment. And I don't mean just a movie, I mean sitting through a lecture at a university. I mean focusing on something for a chunk of time that requires your attention, your undivided attention. The greatest loss to ingenuity is the inability to be bored. Children are no longer bored. And if we keep that up as a society, we're fucked. Because things get invented because you're bored. Ideas come because you're bored. You start playing drums because you're bored. You start a band because you're bored. You learn to paint because you're bored. You figure out, you tap into a part of your brain that you wouldn't tap into otherwise because you're bored. You look out the window and discover things because you're bored. It's the inability to be bored. The whole idea of kids going, what are we going to do? I don't know, let's go outside and create something. Boom, that's genius. The fundamental of a 3-, 4-, and 5-year-old going outside and playing with a stick is how you end up with cars that fly. It's the beginning of an idea that seems dreamlike that becomes a reality because you are forcing yourself to be creative out of necessity. And I think the more one can sit there and go, vroom, 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 vroom. You know where it's also awful? Not going on my serious dad route. It's also screwing up people's inability to date. People don't date because they look at the phone and go, no, 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 no. If that were dating when I met my wife, I guarantee you, she'd go right past me. Well, I'm a, you gotta meet me guy. You know what I mean? And what happened to the you gotta meet me people? The you gotta meet me people are doomed. Yeah. And the bummer is the you gotta meet me people will change your tire and fix your car and help you to organize your finances. Like, it ain't all glossy. Sometimes the nitty gritty of being a partner is the non-sexy stuff, and that's the stability. But you don't meet that on this. You know what I
And it's now it's in casting too. It's like I haven't met a casting director in a decade, in years.
Yeah.
And they now have the ability to just treat casting like Tinder.
Yeah.
Swipe, 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 and snap judgment.
Yeah.
You know they do it. It's just human nature. Like, they're all like programmed now to do that. Like, instead of having to sit and meet an actor and watch an actor's entire audition that they've worked their ass off on.
Right.
Now they have the ability to just, within 5 seconds, be like,
I'm going to give you your question's a really interesting one. I know this probably went down a serious road that you may or may not have intended, but it's an interesting question. I'm going to give you the new Speight family rule and see if you can apply it to your life. And I don't say this because the Speight family is firing all cylinders. Like all families, we're not, so we're always trying to figure out ways to do better. of the things that my wife and I are now doing is we shut our phone off at 6 o'clock. Because what do we need it for? There's literally nothing going to happen. No email's going to come in that's going to change the course of my life from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., 10 p.m. when I go to sleep. In the old days, you'd open the newspaper and you'd get the mail. Those two things were enough to keep you up to speed. So we shut it off at 6 o'clock, and I have two, that's for my wife and myself, and I have 3 children. Only 2 of them have phones because the younger one's not old enough to have a phone. The 18 and 6-year-old have phones, and they turn their phones in at 9 p.m. And that still seems late, but it's just the inability. You ever turn your phone off or lose your phone or whatever, and realize you're tired and you do something that's people rarely do now. You go to sleep because you're not falsely stimulating your brain to stay awake. Quit falsely stimulating your brain to stay awake. Go to sleep. Your heart will be healthier. Your body will function better. You know what I mean? And you know what you might do? You might decide to talk to your spouse. You might decide to go outside with your kids and shoot basketball. And it's an exercise we're trying. We are ever evolving. I thoroughly believe that the same way when you watch a movie or a home movie now, you'll see, go watch The Exorcist, and the spinal doctor is smoking while he's talking about, like, we're worried about her health. You're like, my kid's like, that's crazy here. There's a picture of your uncle smoking in the van, and my kids are like, oh my God, Uncle Dave smoked? Like, with all the windows rolled up, we were in the same car. And that seemed crazy to them. I think my children's children will see young children holding cell phones and go, holy shit, little kids had cell phones? And they're like, yeah, we didn't realize how dangerous they were back then, but we know now. So get out ahead of it now and be better yourself and represent it better. That's my advice to you. And now without further